Hi everyone. If you've been around long enough, who remembers when I used to film here all the time? By the way, you can see that. It looks like I've got a black eye. Please ignore the eye bags, like it's after midnight. And I've been wanting to go to sleep for about 6-7 hours. So I do have eye bags, and also that dark mark there, that is fake tan. Every time I put tan on my face, like tan in water, I get like a mark there. So it's not, and it's making the eye bag look worse. And the lighting's horrific. Can you see the shadow? How can I get rid of that shadow? And by the way, that's just clothes drying. Well, they're dry. I could move them. They would look better. My hair's a mess. Well, my fringe is. But who remembers when I used to film here? And I used to be able to hold it better. I've just had to take my phone case off. Because, do you know how they say... I'm going to move them. Do you know how they say, don't meet your idols? And you know what, there's probably some people you shouldn't meet because there's ego and they probably don't even speak to you. I've heard of like meet and greets that people go to where like whoever it is just comes in the room, don't even speak to you, has a picture and that's it. And they spent like hundreds or sometimes thousands of pounds for that experience. And then, you know, that is not a bruise. I didn't think it was that prominent, but obviously, basically, I met Penn and Teller tonight, and if you've watched me for long enough, you remember the last time that I met Penn and Teller. Exactly 5 years ago today, that's when it happened. Well, yesterday, because it's now Monday. So, nearly, just ignore that. Puffy eye and dodgy tan. It happens every time, but it's never that obvious. Anyway, nearly 3 years ago, I got tickets to see Penn and Teller. And I was meant to see them, and it got postponed because COVID, and at the time the venues were shut, but then they opened them up again. But by the time they opened them back up, it wasn't long enough for Penn and Teller and everything that they needed to do the show. And then that was 2021. Then it couldn't be done in 2022 because I believe the venues were booked around the time that they need to be here, because they get a 6-week block off from the Vegas residency in one go. They do have other time off, like, but not that much. And they tend to come over here, not every year, because obviously, you know, if I would have seen them when I was meant to see them, was it 2 years or 3 years between the shows? 3 years? So basically they can only come in around June time. It was booked for June 2023, exactly 5 years since last time. And in fact, it was exactly 2 years from when it was meant to be. Exactly the same Sunday, the same everything. But obviously 2 years later. But it's been 5 years since I last saw them. And if you've been around that long, let me know. I know there's some of you that have been around that long and you remember that I sat here. Did I do a video after the show, or did I do one the next day? I don't know. Anyway, I should be in bed, like, never get enough sleep anyway, hence the eye baggage. But that's made much worse because that blob of fake tan that I, well, it's tanning water. So I'm tanned. Anyway, when I first went to see them, obviously it weren't long after the certain thing that happened at the MEN/Manchester Arena/the AO Arena. So they basically have always, when they've toured, met people out the front of the venue after the show, and they will stay there until they've met everyone or everyone's got to meet them. And like, they stand individually because they get through people quicker, whereas if they stood together as a collective duo, it would take longer to get through people, even though people are going to go to both of them. It just takes them longer. So not last year, but 5 years ago, they basically kept the venue all open, and they said, we're going to stay here until we've met every one of you. Whoever wants to stay behind can do. And I'd say like maybe a third of the people that went, maybe slightly more, went. Yeah, if you're like in the 2 tiers that go up, what's the tiers called? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The circle and then upper circle. I don't know, but I know the next one up is the circle because I was sat in the circle tonight. Because when I bought the tickets, I could have had them in the stalls, which I wanted because they picked people from the stalls to go up on stage at various points in the show. I think they had 5 different people on stage tonight at different points. And I would 100% go up, even though I'd probably stand there and not being able to talk, but stage fright 101. But then I was like, do you know what? I'll get it in the circle because they had a good view last time. But the last time I was actually 1 up. I worked as like at the back, and it actually turns out that's a better view than the circle. So that's a tip if you ever go to work. I saw them. And if you want to know where I saw them, because it's not going to be like a big secret or anything, because obviously you can easily Google, it was the O2 Apollo in Manchester, and they're there tomorrow. And I wish I had tickets because I'd go again. I won't get into the show right now. End of the show last time, they basically, Penn said, because obviously Teller doesn't talk on stage, but he does talk afterwards. Well, when you meet him, like, he don't like talk on stage. He said, like, if you want to meet us, like, we'll go and get changed, and then you can come up one by one on stage, or if you're in groups, whatever. So, like, I've talked about it before, like, I think we waited about an hour and 10-ish for them to get to our row, because we had to make our way down to the stalls and like line up, well, sit down basically. But they basically paid for the staff to stay behind for a couple of hours afterwards, like not all of the staff, but enough staff, and to keep the venue open. And I just thought that was such a nice thing to do, because you won't get many people doing that. Like, they're literally paying for that out of the money that they've earned. So last time I wasn't the most confident. Like, I'd gained some confidence because of my doctor, and I knew I was going to meet them, like 100% going to meet them. So I knew in advance, because I knew that's what they did after the show, but it was typically out the front of the building, and I was curious what they were going to do. Were they going to meet people at the front of the building or not, because of like what had happened leading up to that event, and all the new security measures that came into being because of that. Anyway, turns out they basically kept the venue open and whatever, and I'd actually gained some confidence because of my doctor. So I wanted to meet them individually, because I wanted pictures with them individually rather than who I was with, and then they could have pictures individually. And it turned out when we got to Teller, I had a picture, then I took a picture of who I was with Teller, and then Teller took a picture of all 3 of us. But my picture with Penn last time was rubbish because it was a selfie and we stood right under the spotlight on the stage. Quite ironic that. Basically, this time around, there was nothing about them meeting people after the show. And then I found out that if you went to London, you could buy meet and greet tickets, which weren't very cheap. And there was a lot of people going like, are you meeting us after the Manchester show or after such and such a show? And there was never any response to it. But it became obvious to me that because there was meet and greet tickets for the London shows and there wasn't for the venue where we were at, that potentially we weren't going to meet them. And I was like, well, it's okay because I've met them, even though I wouldn't have minded to meet them because they're the most down-to-earth people you'll ever meet that are famous. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I found out that, did they do Wolverhampton on Wednesday or was it Thursday? I found out there was some stage door pictures. I was like, stage door pictures, that's interesting. So if they don't say anything about at the end of the show about meeting them, I might just try and find the stage door. That's what I thought. But also I thought, if there's no opportunity, or I just you know, feel when I'm there like it doesn't matter, then I don't necessarily have to go and like find them. Obviously the weather's on my side. I wouldn't have gone if it was raining. I mean, I would have gone to the show, but I wouldn't have gone to try and find them or anything like that. And I hadn't like even decided either way before I went. Like even when I was there, I just watched the show. The first half was 10 times better than the second half. The second half was good, but the first half was better. And they could have like done the show a little bit differently. But with Penn and Teller, it's also comedy as well. I really didn't laugh. Like it was just laugh, 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 laugh. At the end of the show, I didn't rush out because of where we had parked. Everyone were parked in front of each other, so the front row had to go so the second row could go and then the third row could go. So I was like, there was only one row behind us, but they were parked that way and we were parked that way. So I couldn't have reversed out. So we were in no hurry, so people like rushing out, we were just like, yeah, whatever. I stood up because my back were hurting because I'm having back issues. And then we left, I went to the toilet and we walked out. And I was like, as we're walking out, I was like, I wonder where stage door is. Let's go and like have a little look. My dad's like, well, I don't know where they'd put a stage door. And I'm like, well, earlier when we arrived, we had to queue round the corner and the truck was there that obviously they're going to take the set away in. I reckon the stage door's down there because that would make sense why it's parked there, so then it can reverse into the back bit or the side bit, whatever you want to call it, so then they can get the stage onto the truck. So we stood at the top of the street looking down. I'm like, there's about 100 people there. Oh, there might have been about 50-ish by that point. I'm like, I bet those 50 people are there for a reason. And yeah, I was right, and like whatever. So we walked down and there was this woman like next to me moaning, going, I'm not waiting hours for Penn and Teller to come out. Like, I don't think it's worth it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm there like, well, I didn't say it. I'm thinking, they're not going to be long. First of all, like, this is probably 20 minutes after the show finished. At least 20 minutes, at least. All they're going to do is get changed into what they refer to as the civilian clothes. And I remember the first time we met them, they didn't take long to do that because obviously they're not going to make you wait because then they're going to be there even longer to, you know, get through everyone. Like I said, there was over 1,000 people waiting for them last time I went to see them. And obviously it takes time to get through that many people. So I was like, there's no way they're going to be the hours. Typically when a show finishes, a lot of the time whoever it is gets out the venue before the people who have gone to watch whatever it is get out, because it's much safer for them to do that. So then they're not trying to get out and there's loads of people waiting. But things like this, where it's a smaller venue, they're more likely not to rush out. So there's probably people, as soon as they went off stage, probably ran round there to try and meet them. But I didn't do that, because even at that point I didn't even think I was going to actually do it. Like, I can't remember what my thought process was, but I just didn't think like that at that moment. Obviously when I started to walk down the stairs to get out the building, that's when I was like, so we weren't stood there for long. And are you looking at me? You are, aren't you? She's like, what the hell are you talking about? Because obviously she worked there. Do you want to be in the Penn and Teller show? You're very obedient. You'd do as you were told. You'd be great. So we went and stood there 10 minutes. And then Teller appeared. And people rushed over. Well, they were there anyway, but they like rushed at him. And like there was a security guard. And he's like, don't crowd him. And he kind of went to the right a little bit because Penn had walked out, but he couldn't like get out the gates because Teller was up against some people around. And then Penn came out and Penn looked absolutely exhausted. Like, you could tell he was really tired. And Teller was, but Penn, you could, like, really see it straight away. And he was, like, looking around to see how many people were there. And I can't tell you how many were there, because when I first walked down, there must have been about 50, maybe 50. But a few more did come. And obviously the more forward I got, because I kind of pushed, well, I didn't push myself, the more I moved forward, like, the more people were behind me. Everyone was really respectful. No one pushed in, no one, like, pushed anyone out the way. There were people, like, you know, like, a bit more eager to, like, get to the front quicker, but there wasn't any, like, big dramas. No one, like, get out my way, no one, like, butting in or anything, which was great, because obviously you don't want drama. The security guards basically just stayed really well back. Like, you didn't even know they were there. Like, it was like, do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't matter. And they weren't like bodyguards. It was literally just security. And you know, like, sometimes security and absolute, like, pains in the you-know-what, and, like, they're just drama. They weren't. They're just pretty chill. And then, like, I was stood near, like, where Penn's group of people were, and, like, Ella was to the right. Like, and I got to Penn. My dad was there, and I, like, basically, so normally, like, when you meet someone, you get them to sign something, and I didn't have anything. Like, last time I had tickets, because, like, tickets were a thing then, and they're not really a thing now. So you probably can't tell, but they've signed the phone case for this phone. Teller's signature's a bit wobbly, but I now cannot use this unless I get some kind of coating for the top of it. But I think it's quite fitting that it's moon and stars and it's like magicians. Like, I could have gone with this one, but I actually don't want to use, I want to replace this phone case. And I could have gone for this, but I don't think it would be as noticeable, because obviously it's got black on it. I need to get a new phone case or get something on that, because I didn't have a ticket, which would have been the thing that would have got signed like last time. So it was quick thinking. I'm there thinking, do you know, before they come out, what can I get them to sign? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you want to sign my body? Like, get it tattooed on me? No. But I didn't have anything in my bag. Like, I didn't even have, they did this thing with playing cards where you end up with only one left. I mean, I threw the other half away by accident, because they get you to rip them up and throw them during the show, because there's a thing that they do. And I only had this half left, and I could have actually, I didn't think about it, could have got them to sign the card, or I could have took extra cards, because someone actually got a full deck out. He went through them all until he got a full deck. But I should have, the love ritual. I should have got an extra card. I could have got a card signed. But anyway, I got my phone case signed. Anyway, got my phone case signed, and I was talking to him, and someone literally butt in. And I was like, Pen, can I have a picture? And he looked at me, and this guy butted in. And when this guy, like, did whatever he wanted, like a picture or whatever, Pen turned to me, and I was like, can I have a selfie with you, Pen? And he went, it'll be my pleasure. And I was like, talk about turning on the charm, like, his pleasure, like, surely it's my pleasure to, like, get a picture off with him. Anyway, I took the selfie, and it was the worst selfie ever. Do you know, like last time when I said my picture with Pen was the worst? It's actually even worse today. Bad lighting. In fact, we were stood under a light again. That's probably why it's bad. Anyway, now I'm going to put this here for a sec. Now, I don't know if I'm going to insert this, because I don't know if I want anyone to have this picture, but I probably will insert it anyway. So I'd given my dad my other phone, so when he met them, he could have a selfie with them. My dad took the best picture of the night. I mean, I couldn't get over how good that picture is. I mean, the security guard is fast asleep in this picture. So he was really doing his job. But that is the best picture I've ever had of myself. And it is literally, and my dad takes the worst pictures, because the picture before this, it accidentally took a picture of himself, because I turned it so the camera was facing him, because obviously he doesn't have my phone. Like, he doesn't use the same phone as me, so I didn't know if he knew how to turn it to face himself. So I thought, if he's going to ask for a selfie, I'll turn it round for him. Anyway, he said to me, because I didn't know he took this picture, he said, I took a picture of you and Pen. And I'm like, but I did. I was really confused. I'm so made up with this picture. Like, how amazing is that? It's a shame that security guard's there, because I don't know how to, like, alter this picture to get the security guard out the picture. Like, and I want him out the picture. By the way, this guy is 6'7" and I'm 5'4", and yeah, I've got Converse on. I've got the thick Converse on. The original sole, but the thicker one. It probably makes me about 5'6", but like, he literally bends down for all the pictures, because when I first went up to him, he was stood up straight, and I'm thinking, oh my god, you're so tall. And I know I've met him before, but yeah. After I met Pen, my dad was literally just next to me, but slightly behind me. I was like, come on, you can meet Pen. And because Pen had turned to someone else, he's like, oh no, I don't want to meet him now, like, it'll take too long. And I'm like, he's literally at the front of the queue, but people were coming to Pen from loads of different directions. Pen had turned just slightly. Anyway, I went over to stand near Teller, and I was quite near him. There was a few in front of me, and people were taking pictures for each other, because I ended up taking 2 lots of pictures on other people's phones for them. And then Teller looked at me, and I was like, hi Teller, I really enjoyed the show. Like, I really spoke to them. Remember last time I barely spoke to Pen because I weren't very confident, and then I spoke more to Teller, which I did again, but today I did speak to Pen more, because I actually spoke to him twice, because like I said, someone butted in when I tried to speak to him and like had my picture and stuff. So I was like, can you sign my phone case? And he did. That's Teller's signature, that one. Actually, they're meant to be that way around. And then I was like, I can't remember what I said to him. I said something to him, and I was like, can I have a selfie with you? And he's like, of course you can. I like, you can see like all my lines, and like, because like, I'm actually quite dehydrated. Like, I've been drinking during this, and I need to drink again in a minute. My mouth is so dry, like, I'm really dehydrated. So I've got all these like, and I put too much powder under my eyes, so I look really old, and I don't like the picture. Although when we did the picture, and I hadn't seen him do this with anyone else, he like leant in. I didn't know what he was doing, because I was just looking into the camera, and everyone were laughing. And I said to my dad afterwards, like, what did he do? And he's like, oh, he's done nothing. But you can see like all my eyes are puffy. I don't look good in the picture, so I don't know if it's going to go up, because, And then I turned to my dad, I was like, you can like have your picture now. And he's like, oh no, we're literally here. So then he went and stood next to Teller, and my dad went, I met you 5 years ago. And Teller went, oh, I remember that. And everyone laughed. And my dad went, I'm sure you don't remember that. You've met hundreds of people since. Like, he's such a charmer. He's such a nice man. And it's so weird hearing Teller speak. I know I said that last time. And he's quite articulate and very intelligent. Like, he's such an intelligent man. You wouldn't believe he was like, is he 73 or something? I think he's 73. Oh, he's 75. And Pen is 68. I just googled them, and someone put, does Teller from Pen and Teller speak in real life? And the answer is, Teller speaks very well, but he decided to work silently in Magic because he was working rough environments where he was apt to be heckled. And Teller just thought if he was quiet, they'd grow weary of heckling him. Like, they're in Manchester again tomorrow, and then they don't do anything till Thursday. Where are they Thursday? Birmingham? Don't kill me if you're from Birmingham. But there's no tickets. There's no tickets left for tonight. I met them, and I weren't nervous. I weren't anxious. Like, do you know, like, sometimes you get anxious and nervous or whatever, you just feel panicked, whatever. I was just like proper chill. Like, I was just like, oh, it's just Pen and Teller. Like, And I think it's because obviously I've met them before and they're just so down to earth and nice, and do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a nice, relaxing atmosphere. There's no need to be like, oh, it's Penn and Teller. And I know, like, some people don't even know who Penn and Teller is. Like, the person who had my dog didn't know who Penn and Teller was, and they're going to watch them. And I'm like, well, you know, how can you not know who Penn and Teller are? But they're calling it the first last short tour, because obviously Teller's 85, he's not 85. Teller's 75 and Penn's 68. It must be tiring, like they've not been in the country a week, and I bet they're jet lagged. I bet Penn is, like, Penn just looked exhausted, but he turned it on for everyone. He was who you would want him to be. And like when he said, like, when I said, can I have a selfie? And he said it would be my pleasure. Like, do you actually hear celebrities saying that? Like, they just know how to turn on the charm. Like, Teller was super charming with me. Like, I think Teller's amazing. And like, he was super charming to my dad. And then my dad's like, I met you 5 years ago. And Teller went, oh, I remember. Like, he's just, I wish I was filming it. I didn't even think to film, like, I did. But anyway, I'm happy. Like, I just feel good. Like, I enjoyed the show. The first half was better than the second half. I feel like the show we saw last time was better. The start of the show, funny. If you're going to see it, I mean, I don't know when this is going to go up. I mean, it could be Christmas. The start is funny. There's comedy throughout. The end wasn't a big spectacular ending like last time it was, but Penn basically tells the story about how he became who he is today, what got him interested in, like, doing this. Like, he was a fire eater. Say no more. But he does talk about how he got into it and etc. Then he did a little bit performance, and that was kind of the end of the show. And the second half was shorter than the first half. I don't know if they've cut things out, but it was hilarious. Like, I laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. Like, it's just magic, but with comedy. Do you know, like, sometimes magic's, you're like, ooh, ah, and all that, and clapping, but everyone was laughing. It was just hilarious. And obviously Penn's this big character, he's this big tall person, he's just this big character, he's loud, and he's the one that makes you look at him, so you don't look at Teller to see what Teller's doing, because Teller's the one performing the majority of the magic, because Teller is the one, I don't know, but Penny's just like, Penn distracts you while Teller's doing things. And it was funny. There was a lot of funny stuff going on. There was this thing where there was a perspex box and a wooden box. They put the perspex box in the wooden box. Teller got in, he got locked in, and then Penn just talks about misdirection and like how this happened and this happened, and like he's talking for quite a while, and then you're thinking he's doing all this talking because Teller's getting himself out of the box, like he's releasing himself. And then all of a sudden Teller just lifts up the top of the wooden box, climbs out, puts it down, because it was like, it was a fix, because he weren't actually escaping. He just like waited for Penn to do all this big like talk thing that he did, and you're sat there thinking, well, he's saying all this to distract us while Teller's like releasing himself from the box, but really he could just lift it up, get out, put it down and sit on top, and everyone was just laughing. But yeah, I feel good. I've had a good night, but I'm tired. I need to drink some water because my mouth is so dry. I feel really dizzy as well. Felt dizzy when I was there. So yeah, I've come away feeling really happy. I mean, I was happy when I was there. I enjoyed the show. And then I met them. I remember last time the influence it had on me. But yeah, long story. And I'm going to go and take this off. I'm going to go and get the dog fur off my bed. And I'm going to lie down. Because I know I'm not going to get much sleep tonight. And I'm going to be tired tomorrow. I mean, when am I never tired? But thank you for watching. If you're new to my channel and you aren't subscribed, if you're new to my channel or you watch my videos but you aren't subscribed, Please subscribe, don't forget to press the bell notification button to get an alert every time I upload. I'll be back at some point, can't promise when, there's a lot going on as you know. This is the happiest I've felt in a very long time. But I'm sure I'll get brought back down to earth tomorrow, but for now I'm just going to enjoy this feeling. But have a great week everyone, and thank you so much for watching.